Good morning once again. I'm sure we'll get more people to join in, but I promise we'll start at 10. This is 10:02. At least it's 10:02 from where I am. I hope it is the same from wherever you are. Glad to have everyone here once again, and I'm sure we know why we are here. This is another free training from the stables of AfriTeach in collaboration with CTN, which is a subsidiary of ERIT, and we are here again to improve ourselves as educators so we can be better educators, so we can be global educators, and so we can teach the next future on what to do and how to do things. I'm glad to see everyone here. And just as is our fashion, I would like to know where you are joining from. So if you can please oblige me, you can put in the comment section, just tell me where you are joining from, your school, and where you are joining from. And let's kick off with that, you know. So just put in the comment section. I'm joining from Quebec, Canada. I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria, Meadow Hall. Okay. I'm joining from Australia, joining from London, UK. Um, so let's go. Let's see. So we have just one person. Landmark Academy Benin. Okay, thank you. Lagos, Nigeria, The Rock Community, Ghana. Thank you. Thank you, Akwaba. Akwaba to all my Ghanaian brothers. Good morning, Early Spring Schools, Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you all for joining. Ibute Meta, I see you. Thank you for joining. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Meadow Hall, St. Saviour's, Ibute Meta, Meadow Hall. This is a Madonna International School. Okay. Thank you for joining. White Cotton, Ayobo. That used to be my area at one point. Queen's College, I see you. Thank you for joining. The Cherub Schools, Badore, Lagos, Nigeria, Meadow Hall. Thank you all for joining. Meadow Hall. Do we have anybody from Igbobi here? Igbobi College, Brookhouse Schools, Lekki, St. Saviour's, Kitchtrite. Anyone from Igbobi here? Carissa Hills, Tampa Steven. Thank you all so much. Thank you. You can keep it coming in the Sierra Leone. Someone else joined from Sierra Leone. Like we say, AfriTeach is African. So we have a lot of our African brothers and sisters here. Great to see Sierra Leone, great to see Kenya, great to see Ghana, people joining from all of these countries. Gowon Estate, Egbeda, thank you. Ikoyi, I see you. Um, Delta States, thank you for joining. Thank you all for joining. I would also like to ask, how did your week go? Jagumolu Girls Bariga, thank you all for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. So, how did your week go? Mine has been extremely cold, very cold. So it's been a tough one, really. So just put in the comment section, how did your week go? How did your week go? Mr. Samuel, are you getting ready? How did your week go? Mine was extremely cold, like I said. So how did your week go? My week was splendid. That's Hilda Jide. Thank you. My week went well, but stressful. Week is always stressful. Work is always stressful. My week was really busy but very productive. That's the positivity from it. Very productive. Very good. Battling malaria. I pray for strength for you, Mr. Anthony Njoku. I pray for strength and I pray that you get out of it in Jesus' name. Thank you. My week was good, though with much rain. Thank you. We have to choose. Do you either want rain or you want sunshine? So you need to choose which one you want. Good, though very stressful. I can understand. My week was beautiful and creative. Wow. My week was exhaustive but stressful. Awesome but stressful, productive, strenuous, inspiring and favorable. Hectic but exciting. My week went well, but it seems like a lot of people had a lot of stress. You know what? We are just going to use this training to detoxify to detoxify ourselves and, you know, try and make it possible for people to join. You can join us on YouTube. We are streaming on YouTube. So please help share to several people to help join the link, right? The link is in the comment section, and so, you know, you can help us with that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for it. So I'd like to pass on the, you know, the touch, so to speak, to Mr. Samuel Omorege, who is the strategy head for um for AfriTeach. Mr. Samuel. Mr. Samuel, are you there? Hello, Mr. Samuel. Is Mr. Samuel here? Okay, Mr. Samuel doesn't seem to be here. Oh, okay. Seems like he's logged out, and so we'll just try and get him back in. All right. So yeah. So I'd like to recognize the person of Dr. Kehinde Nwani, who is the executive director and the co-founder of the co-founder of AfriTeach. Dr. Nwani is someone who is who is passionate about seeing teachers become professionals. And then she's so passionate about it, and you know, she's giving her all to make sure that teachers are up there and want to be recognized in the same way as we recognize a doctor, as we would recognize a pilot, an engineer, and people in the professional space. She's passionate about it, and she's the co-founder of AfriTeach, as well as Mr. Otto Orandam, who is the founder Slum to School. I'm sure a lot of us know him. Is the founder Slum to School, and also we have the VC of the Unilag, the first female VC, Professor Folashade, who is also a co-founder of AfriTeach. So you are rest assured that you have credible people who have, you know, the best interest of educators across Africa in their hearts. So I like to just recognize all of them. I'm sure some of them would most likely join us as time goes, you know, as we go on in the training. But I like to recognize all of them. Again, thank you all for joining. And you know, just not to take too much of our time, I'd like to welcome our first facilitator, our sister from Nigeria, Mrs. Fatima Okewo. You know, she's taken some trainings for us before, and she's a fantastic, you know, she's a fantastic facilitator, a fantastic educator, and very, you know, humble to the core and very, very strategic. So, just a brief one about Mrs. Okewo. She's an education consultant, a practicing teacher, and a leader at Meadowhall with almost 2 decades of working experience in teaching and leadership. Mrs. Okewo is a subject matter expert for Meadowhall Consult, sharing 21st century teaching approaches with various schools. She is proficient in the pedagogy of both the British and Nigeria curricula, and is passionate about emotional intelligence, teamwork, and collaboration for optimizing team performance. So I'd like to pass on to Mrs. Okewo. She's already here. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Bayomi. Can you hear me? If you can hear
Yes, I
me, let
can.
me hear you. Thank you so much, Mr. Bayomi. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining. I pray it's going to be a successful session, but would like it to be very interactive as well. As I present, I'll be asking you to please put some of your responses in the chat room. We'll appreciate that you do that to help us enjoy every minute of the session. So we're talking about Bloom's taxonomy today and how we can use it to improve student outcome. I'm going to start very quickly with this video. I'd like you to make notes of what you hear. And if you can hear the audio, just kindly type in the chat room so I'm sure that everything is fine. Take notes because we'll be talking about what you have heard. Yeah. So I don't know why. Sabayomi, can you see my screen?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I could see your screen.
You could, but I couldn't get onto my video.
Okay. Which one do you want to share?
This one? Okay. Okay. Can anyone hear?
Yes, we can. Not
Okay.
the video though, but yes, we can hear you. Would you like for me to play it from my hand?
Would I like to what?
Do you want me to play it from my hand?
Please.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. So I'll stop sharing.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, please.
Bloom's taxonomy is a toolbox that
Can we see the video?
Yes.
Okay.
teachers or students can use to classify and organize learning objectives. Its most popular version is based on the cognitive domain and assumes that learning should be structured from easy to difficult in the following 6 steps. 1. Remember. 2. Understand. 3. Apply. 4. Analyze. 5. Evaluate. 6. Create. On the first level, we learn to remember. There is just rote memorization and recollection of facts without much understanding. For example, if we learn about lemons, we want to remember the name, shape, color, size, and that they are sour. Once we memorize these essentially meaningless facts, we move to the second level of learning. On level 2, we learn to understand. We begin to decode information and learn that a lemon is yellow when it's ripe to eat, and if we take a bite, that it's really super sour. We also understand that lemons love sunshine and that they contain lots of vitamin C, which is a great natural antioxidant that keeps us healthy. Now, as we really understand a lemon, we can work with it. On the third level, we apply what we know. We've understood that while lemons are sour, they are also a great provider of vitamin C. To apply this knowledge in a meaningful way, we could boil a lemon into hot water and add some honey. Then serve this hot lemon to our sick sister who's in need of treatment. On the fourth level, we learn to analyze. This involves examining and breaking down information into components, determining how the parts relate to one another, and finding evidence to support generalizations. We study the lemon flesh, examine the skin, and look at levels of vitamins. We conclude that we can eat everything inside, while the skin tastes bitter and contains traces of toxic pesticides. It ought not to be consumed. Now we are ready to evaluate. We analyze, critique, and compare. To evaluate our lemon as a good source of vitamins, we compare it to other sources, such as oranges and supplements. We look at the following properties: vitamin levels, affordability, taste, and packaging waste. If we evaluate our thoughts critically and without bias, we learn where the lemons score high and where others score higher. Now, after we have learned, understood, applied, analyzed, and evaluated, we are ready to create. As we now really understand lemons, also in comparison to similar things, we can formulate a plan to create our own natural lemonade. It's now easy to come up with a cute shop design, a good name, and a good slogan: natural, healthy, yummy. Bloom's taxonomy was first created in 1946 by American psychologist Benjamin Bloom. The revised version from 2001, as just presented, serves as the backbone of many teaching philosophies, in particular those that aim towards teaching specific skills. Each level usually comes with a clear learning objective that can be tested. Critics of the taxonomy often question the existence of a sequential, hierarchical link between each level. What are your thoughts? Please share them in the comments below.
Thank you, Mr. Bayomi. Thank you.
Welcome.
Millions.
Right. Should I go on sharing or you'll continue?
You can share, ma.
Okay. Right, so I'll just quickly ask if you can type something in the chat room to show me what you picked from that very short video. I'd like to read your comments in the chat room. What are those things you've picked from that very, very short video? Yes, it is interesting, but I'd like to hear the things you picked. 1 word, 2 words. Like I said in the beginning, this session will be interactive. Please let's post our comments in the chat room. What have you picked from that video? Yeah, evaluation. Thank you for the word. Let's hear more. Let's get more coming. I would like this group to be quite exciting. Please, let's thank you. Analysis also involves comparative study. There are many levels to learning. Thank you. Thank you. Let's keep it coming in. Thank you and well done. So we're going to move very quickly. As we go on through this, we'll get to understand the video even better. So I have a very short starter for you. Please get ready. So I'd like us to look at the verbs for Bloom's taxonomy. The verbs are very important. The different levels have different verbs for you to use. And if you understand the verbs that are attached to each level, that will help you help your children in your classroom. So this very short starter will help us dig deeper regarding the vocabulary. So now, on each of the following slides, you will identify which verb does not belong. Which verb does not belong? So we're looking at the level of remembering, and we have 4 verbs here. Which one verb doesn't belong to remembering? When you're bookmarking, is that an example of remembering? When you're recalling, is that an example of remembering? When you're matching, is that an example of remembering? When you're writing, is that an example of remembering? So the answer here is writing, because writing requires a lot more than just rote learning, than just remembering, than just recalling. So the answer here is writing. So I'm going to go on to the next question. Please type your answer in the chat room before I click. So when I open, I'll give you 30 seconds to type in your answer. I'd like it to be very interactive. Then I'll reveal the answer. Now we're on remembering. Remembering is when memory is used to produce definitions, facts, or lists, or recite or retrieval material. So examples here: copying, hypothesizing, finding, quoting. What's the answer, please? Can I see you type in your chat room, please? I would like to see your responses. Mr. Bayomi, please help me look out. We'd like to see those people that will give us excellent response and people that are actually engaging. So revealing time, hypothesizing requires a lot more than remembering. Next question. Understanding. Which word does not belong to the level understanding? Annotating, indicating, computing, summarizing. Let's have your answers in. More answers, more answers. Okay, revealing time, computing. Now let's go on. Next level, applying. Which word doesn't belong to the level applying? Numbering, presenting, experimenting, explaining. Let's have your answers come in. Let's have your answers come in. Revealing time, numbering. That's quite easy. Now the next level is analyzing. What word should not be here? Illustrating, mind mapping, estimating, solving. Let's have your responses come in, please. Would like to know the person that got all the answers correctly. Revealing time, solving. Okay, so the next one is evaluating. The words are rating, scoring, annotating, assessing. Which word doesn't belong here? Revealing time, annotating. Now creating, describing, role-playing, podcasting, filming. Which word doesn't belong here? This is very, very easy. Let's have your responses come in. Describing. So well done. As we go on, like I said, we're going to get to learn more about Bloom's taxonomy. We'll understand a lot more about what we're doing here today. So the objectives for today is to differentiate learning activities to cater to diverse learners' needs by scaffolding tasks from simple to complex. Develop lesson plans, incorporating activities at each level of Bloom's taxonomy, implementing strategies to foster critical thinking, problem-solving skills, higher level of Bloom's taxonomy like evaluate, analyze, and create. That's where we want to get our children to. We want to get them to a point where they're thinking deeply and critically thinking. Practice using a simple project to guide students through the levels of Bloom's taxonomy. We'll put it to practice and you'll see what it will look like here. So going back to the video, this is just a summary of what we listened to. And this is the most current Bloom's taxonomy hierarchy, and that was the one created in 2001. That's what we'll be working with. I'm going to move on very quickly and have a very quick summary for you here again, talking about Benjamin Bloom's, his colleagues, how they walked through this, how they thought of the fact that you need to push kids. They also have to start from somewhere before they get to that point of critical analysis. It's very important that teachers, as you're planning teachers, you're thinking about the fact that you're not leaving children at a particular point. You're getting them to a point where they're able to think, they're able to come up with ideas, they're able to be original. They're innovating, they're changing things that they meet, make those things even better. The only way they can do that is if you are intentional, you're deliberate as you plan your lessons. So planning your lessons will help you think about the vocabulary, the action verb you're going to use, where you're going to pick those action verb from, how those action verb will get your children to do more, think more, and give you better quality work. This is very important. So for your next lesson, I'm hoping that you're going to use Bloom's taxonomy to guide you to differentiate, guide you to think about the children you have in your classroom. Knowledge of the learner will help you plan better for them. You should know how many children in your classroom are on the remembering level. How will you start off your lesson? Where will you start off your lesson? How are you going to begin your lesson such that some children are not bored in your classroom? Or how are you going to start off your lesson such that some children don't feel overwhelmed and are unable to cope with the pace at which your lesson is going because you've not been able to cater to their needs adequately? So these are just words that you can connect with Bloom's taxonomy. Differentiation, I've mentioned that. Metacognition, innovation, I've mentioned that. Effective lesson planning, critical thinking, higher order thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, deeper understanding, curiosity, and skill development. As long as we walk through these slides and discuss, we're going to be using these words. So the first point we're going to look at is lesson planning. Now, before you can have an effective lesson, before you can help children learn, you have to plan. And that planning will be quite effective if you focus on the use of your Bloom's taxonomy. Now, the Bloom's taxonomy and the vocabulary should be a document close to you, always on your table, posted close. So as you're planning, you're making reference to this document, looking at the vocabulary to use, being intentional to Think about the children you have in your class. How will this challenge them? How will this get them connected in your lesson? How will the foundation you're giving them be strong enough to build on? So the mistakes teachers make, you want to make a lesson interesting and you're jumping all the way to analysis, evaluation, and creation, but the foundation is not there for the children to build on. So you have to make sure that you understand your children in your classroom. You know where they are at. This is me linking AFL in here. You know where they're supposed to be and how you're going to take them to where they should be. So this is very important. So as you craft your lesson objectives, you must be intentional in ensuring that you have catered to the needs and requirements of all the children in your classroom. There are some classes when you're teaching, you realize that the children in that class already have the background knowledge, remembering, you understand, the comprehension. They apply, they know that. So you need to move them to higher level. So that's going to determine how you're going to plan your lesson. What would your starter be? Would your starter help you remember those things, get them to connect to it, what they've done before in terms of application, remembering, comprehending, and then you move on very quickly to analysis, evaluation, and creation. So you must know the group of children in your classroom, their ability, and how you can work with them. So when planning your lesson, you can use Bloom's taxonomy to structure your activities. We'll be looking closely into that. So this is an example. I've picked a topic, photosynthesis, and I've looked at the first level, remembering, and I've created an objective for remembering, which is to define the term photosynthesis. This is simple recall. So some of the things, one of the things I do when I have definition to make it a bit creative is that I pick words, different words, and of course the words that are linked to the definition of photosynthesis. And I ask my students to use the words that are relevant to craft a definition for photosynthesis. It's a very exciting activity, but it's beyond just getting them to sit, try to bring back what they know, but using those words, key words, putting them together to make sense of what photosynthesis actually mean. Having a definition can be very interesting. But again, this is the lowest level of Bloom's taxonomy. But you have to agree with me, if a child can define photosynthesis, that's also a place to start from. And then understanding. Explain the importance of photosynthesis to plant life. Now, they can define photosynthesis, but why do we have to study photosynthesis? Why do we have to know about it? How is it linked to life? We're talking about biology and science here. Why? What's the importance? Explain the importance. So this will get your children to think. You've moved from the level of just recalling, having access to words that will help them put together a definition of photosynthesis. They're moving on. They're getting to link it and ask, okay, why? Why photosynthesis? What's the relevance? That's getting them to think even more. And then we move on to application. Perform an experiment to observe the effect of light on photosynthesis. In the course of talking about the importance of photosynthesis, you've talked about light, you've mentioned the word chlorophyll. Now they're thinking, oh my God, light, what's the effect on photosynthesis? They're getting to apply what they have learned to real life situation. You've talked about sunlight, they're thinking about the sunlight, they're thinking about the connection with chlorophyll. So you see, thoughts coming in, they're thinking deeply about what you're teaching them. You've moved them from the surface level of just remembering the definition of photosynthesis to talking and thinking about the importance and also linking it to real life. And then let's analyze. Analyze the result of your experiment to determine the relationship between light intensity and the rate of photosynthesis. So you've moved up. It's not just about light now, it's about the intensity of light. So if you're quite intentional when you're teaching students, you get to realize that children will understand and own their learning better because you've given them the opportunity to see beyond the ordinary. They think about it, they link it to real life, they ask questions. And as a teacher, you should also remember that if students in your class can ask questions, you will be able to get them to a point where they will excel, because ability to ask questions is a very, very important skill. So as you're asking questions in class, you're giving them these action verbs, they're also learning from you and they're getting to learn to ask. So give them opportunities to talk, pair conversation, group work, so they can learn to ask questions. In the course of asking questions, answers are being looked for, and then they get to learn more, especially from their peers. Now we go on to evaluation. We need to assess the effectiveness of the different variables in the photosynthesis process. So at this point, you'd have had the equation for photosynthesis. They're looking at it, input, output. How does this affect? They're questioning, they're asking questions, they're looking at it. They're referring to the experiment. What did we do differently? How did increasing this affect that? That is a way of getting children to evaluate a process. So you facilitate a debate. A group will stand here and you're talking to the other group, you're looking at the different factors and you're defending your points. You see, when you can get children to this point, they're going to learn beyond the objectives you have actually stated out for them. Because in the course of talking, debating, questioning each group, more ideas will be coming up. And don't forget, we have digital natives. They have access to the internet and they're learning a great deal. So our jobs as teachers is to get them to use the information they have in a very, very effective way. I'm sorry. Now let's get to creating. Design your own experiment to test a new photosynthesis a hypothesis related to photosynthesis. Maybe in the course of the argument, someone has asked a question that they cannot answer. They have to create an experiment linking to how they can solve that problem. If they do solve the problem, if they create their own experiment, they are doing something new. They've moved from the level of you giving them a question for them to investigate. They've gotten to a point where they have questions and they would like to dig deeper, to investigate, to work to ensure that they're able to solve that problem. You've gotten them to the aspect of creating, using the topic photosynthesis. Now, I've also moved on to get a sample of questions from different subjects. The first one is from year 3. If you're a primary school teacher, just try to pull this out to help you understand what we're trying to do. Before I talk about this, I also want to let you know that be mindful the number of learning objectives you have on your lesson plan, because it's so nice to have quite a number of lesson objectives where you're asking yourself, how many minutes do you have to deliver that lesson? And then you have to critically look at the lesson objective. What do you want objectives? What do you want to achieve during this lesson? That will determine the number of objectives you should avail yourself to, the number of objectives you should use with the children, and how those objectives will bring the best out of your students. Sometimes I say to teachers, you want the child to define and you want the child to be able to define photosynthesis, and you can actually state the equation of photosynthesis. If you can't state the equation of photosynthesis, that means you can define photosynthesis. So you have to look at it. Don't have like 5, 10 lesson objectives. At the end of the day, you will not be able to achieve those objectives. What I usually advise teachers is I look at the Bloom's taxonomy, divide them into 3, the first 2 levels, the 2 levels in the middle, and the last 2 levels. Try and pick a vocabulary each from each of those levels, generate maximum of 3 learning objectives, and see how you can help your children learn that way. Instead of having so many objectives and at the end of the day, you will not be able to achieve them. Now, very quickly, let's look at the sample objectives for year 3. So I've picked that objectives under remembering, I've picked an objective under understanding, and I've challenged them even further by adding an objective under apply. Now, objective for remembrance is point out the main idea in a short story and mention the importance of the details that support it. That's simple enough. And then I'm moving on further and I'm saying retell the major events in a story using your own words. Retell the major events. So they're doing a lot more than just identifying. They're looking at the major parts of the story. They're going to have to focus, pick that out, and then retell using their own words. That you're exposing them to using different words from the words you have used. You're going to look for synonyms. You're going to look for words that will be relevant in the context of what they want to do. You're getting them to move from just remembering to understanding. In order to use your own words, you should understand that passage, and that will get the children to think deeper. Now, let's get to apply. Use clues from the passage to work out the meaning of unfamiliar words. You see, that's so important. That's so key because when you have words in a passage, sometimes you don't know the direct definition, but in contextual, you can actually tell the meaning of the words. You're getting the students to get to that point where they're able to do that. Now, let's go on to year 7. And this is a math question where we say the first question comes under understand. You can notice that I didn't start with remember. Now, I started here with understand because I'm hoping that in this class, this teacher has identified that the children have a good understanding or have a good understanding of the objectives under remember and will not require it. The teacher may have also used remember as starter to tackle the aspect of remembering so that the children do not have to start an active lesson with remembering because they have already moved on from that level. So now the objective starts with understand. Explain what ratios and proportional relationships mean and how they are used. Now we're moving on to apply, where we say walk through real life tasks that involve proportional relationships, including finding unit rates. Now we're moving on. Analyze. Break down multi-step problem by comparing proportional relationships and noticing patterns or trend. You can see the challenge as the challenge is moving up. I'm going to get to a point where I'll show you a video and I'm going to explain even more so that we can understand. Now on to year 10. Here I'm starting with remembering, depending on the teacher, depending on the student you have in your classroom. Name the stages of mitosis and describe the main events that happen in each one. Now, understand, explain how mitosis supports cell growth and help the body repair damaged tissues. Now we're moving on to evaluate, where we say, working through case studies, students will be able to judge the impact or mistakes that occur during cell division. If you're a science teacher, you know how important this is. Now, I want us to look at how critical thinking and higher order Bloom's taxonomy are related. Now, you can achieve this again by going back to the vocabulary. If you're not conversant with using the vocabulary or you're not intentional, you will not be able to move your children forward. All you're going to see will be a lesson plan that has words like identify, mention, list, describe, explain, enumerate. You're limiting the children to the first two levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So we have to be intentional as teachers. We have to remember that the children we're teaching, they already know this because they have access to information. They have access to the internet. And thank God for AI. They have access to all of this. So you're not teaching them anything new. So as you plan, you have to think about that. Knowledge of the learner, know the children in your classroom, know where to start off from, know how to get them to slide into where you want them to start the lesson for the day by also knowing what your starter will be. Because if your students already understand, they remember, why are you starting off from there? Remembering, understanding, they are key, but your children will get bored because they already are at that level and would require further challenge. But as a teacher, because you're not aware, you probably do not understand or know your student well enough, your planning will certainly be deficient. So it's very important that you know your students in your class, you're intentional, you know where they are at, where they should be, and how you can get them to where they should be in order to plan effectively. Now, I'm looking at our integrating, I'm sorry. Real world applications into our lesson planning. So as you plan, if you want to get the children to think critically, you have to link it to real life situations. I mean, the first two examples I gave, we had to link it to real life situations. Children need to be able to connect what they are learning in class to what is happening in life. Otherwise, they're going to leave your class more confused than they were when they got into your classroom. So it's very important that you're connecting their thinking to what is happening in real life. And the minute you do that, they will move out of the box. They will think beyond what you have in the classroom for them. They will open opportunities that you may not have thought of because you have asked questions that will ignite further thinking. You have asked questions that make them feel like, I'm comfortable to be vulnerable in your class. You have used words like, how might that affect learning? How might, using the word might. Oh, why do you think? The minute you start using words like that, you're pushing them and you're getting them to think, oh, I can give my idea. I can think about it and share what I think about this. It's not a situation of it's exactly what the teacher thinks, it is exactly what is in the textbook, but they're able to forge ahead. They're able to move away from the textbook, think about how it relates to them, think about experiences they've had, and are able to give responses. This will get your children very comfortable and be able to link what is happening in classroom to real life. But don't forget, you can't do that if you don't move them to the higher order thinking of Bloom's taxonomy, like analyze, evaluate, and create. Now, this is still linking you to picking the right vocabulary. You can find this online. The words that are linked to the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy, you pick them and you use them to craft your lesson objective. That lesson objective will determine the activities you're going to deliver in class. Your lesson objective will determine the form of assessment you're going to give, because you need to check how well the learning has gone and how well the children are able to engage with what you have done and what they can do with it. This is for an example that links to critical thinking. Now, I have photosynthesis again, and I'm going to play you a video after this. I've picked a task under analysis. How will the process of photosynthesis be affected if a plant were placed under green light instead of white light? Now we talk about photosynthesis. How many students or how many teachers have ever linked photosynthesis with, okay, you link it with sunlight, but have you thought to tell them that the different colors of visible lights, and in the course of photosynthesis, will chlorophyll attract or absorb all the different 7 lights? Will chlorophyll do that? Have you gotten to a point where students asked you questions like that got you thinking that, oh my God, photosynthesis is not just as easy as we say chlorophyll absorbs light. It's not that easy. We have 7 visible lights. Will chlorophyll absorb all the 7 lights? If it doesn't, which ones will chlorophyll absorb? How does it affect energy? How does it affect reproduction, production of food in photosynthesis? How? Those are questions your students should be asking, because you have given them the platform to do that. So if you have a question like this, you've given them an opportunity to think beyond the statement photosynthesis. You're giving them an opportunity to think beyond the word chlorophyll. What's the link between chlorophyll and sunlight? What's the link between chlorophyll and different visible lights? What's the link with the intensity of the light and function? Those are questions children should be asking in your class. Mr. Bayomi, I want to play this. There's a link here. I want to see if I can play it. Mr. Bayomi, can you hear me?
AI is changing the game for app development. Firebase is here to help. Firebase offers a platform.
Aristotle never imagined photosynthesis.
Please, before I go on, I would really want you to listen to this video. So please let me know if you heard the sound of the video.
We heard the sound.
Okay, thank you.
We now know that plants use sunlight to turn carbon dioxide. Aristotle never imagined photosynthesis. We now know that plants use sunlight to turn carbon dioxide gas from the air into solid material. Excluding water, only a tiny fraction of wood comes from the soil. Photosynthesis is just one of the fundamental scientific ideas that we spend time and money trying to teach. But it seems as though the science isn't being understood. This is the sort of place where you'd expect people to know how trees grow. It's graduation day at MIT, the world-renowned Massachusetts Institute of Technology near Boston.
We are the premier engineering and science institution in the world.
They think that all they've got to do here today is pick up their degrees and kiss a few distant relatives. But a team of researchers from the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics is armed with a film crew and intent on spoiling the party. They're here to put the graduates on the spot with some of the most basic scientific questions, such as, where does wood come from?
This is a seed here. You can take it in your hand. Now imagine that we planted that seed, and out of that seed grew a tree. And here, you can take this. Now, what did all that stuff come from?
Nature. In the ground, the soil, the grass, the dirt.
What would you say to someone who told you that the weight of the tree came mostly from the carbon dioxide in the air?
I would say that's very disturbing, and wonder how that could happen.
It came from carbon dioxide from the air? Oops.
Some interesting idea.
Sounds weird.
Are you surprised
Yeah.
at that idea?
Yep.
That'd be hard to believe because carbon dioxide is, well, it's a gas, and it doesn't seem intuitive that you could add mass taking in a gas. This came from a lot of things.
Watching graduates getting it wrong proved that even after extensive formal teaching, the most basic scientific concepts can fail to take root in students' minds. Matt Schnepp, director of the research group and a PhD in physics himself, admits that the MIT graduates are not alone.
I certainly believe that soil is sucked up through the roots, and I was really surprised when some biologists explained to me, no, it doesn't work that way at all. It's got something to do with the air and so forth, and I could swear I studied this stuff, but it didn't make any sense to me.
Okay. So before we go on, I'd just like to see your comments in the chat room. What kind of teacher are you? If your students were asked simple questions like this, how would they be able to respond? Please, I need to go to the chat room. I want to hear your comments because this video has been online for so many years, but it's really disturbing because they are graduates and MIT, that's one of the renowned university, and yet simple questions such as, where does wood come from? They couldn't respond to it. And that's because of the quality of teaching and learning. Children don't get opportunities to ask questions. Teachers are not asking the right questions. Teachers are not planning adequately. Teachers are not pushing the bar. Teachers are not focusing on getting the children to think deep and critically. For that reason, we're struggling with getting the children to really learn quality learning. So I don't have anything in the chat room yet, but I'd like to read your comments. I'm waiting for comments before I move on to the next level of this presentation. What did you pick from the video? What will you do differently as a teacher? I'm still waiting. I can't see any comment yet. I hope people can hear me though.
Oh, yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Okay, I can see one comment. Thank you. When learning is not linked to real life, it defeats the purpose. It does. It does. I mean, simple questions such as that, it's so difficult to explain. And when I was in school, I know all I remember was write the equation of photosynthesis, balance the equation of photosynthesis. But what's the link? Why are we studying photosynthesis? What light will a chlorophyll absorb? We have 7. Which ones will chlorophyll absorb? Which ones will chlorophyll reflect? And there's a question that was asked. If it absorbs white light, what's going to happen? How would that affect that equation of photosynthesis? You see, these are questions children need to ask. These are questions teachers need to ask. So children feel comfortable, confident enough to try out new things, to do some research and get answers to questions, ask questions, work in group, give them an opportunity to brainstorm and come up with possible answers. Check how relevant our responses are. Now, engage learners with hands-on activities. Learning should be done from, yes, I can see all your comments. Thank you. So we're going to move on very quickly. I have very few minutes left, but I have another example here in maths. Using Pythagoras' theorem, how would you determine the length of the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle with sides 3 centimeters and 4 centimeters? Let me tell you, with a question like this, you're going beyond recall. The recall is the child to recall the formula for Pythagoras' theorem. And then now the child now has to look at the values given, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters. How does it link to the formula? Where would I put it in? What am I looking for? The child has to think about that, generate the formula, look for A, B, or C. Which one am I looking for? You see, the child is thinking beyond just recalling. So questions like this will get children to think. Let's move further for create. Can you design a real-world problem involving triangles where you need to use Pythagorean theorem to find a missing side? Listen, they're thinking, they're looking around them. Okay, there's something lying against the wall. I can see the shape of a triangle. A painter is painting. There's a ladder placed against the wall. It brings out the shape of a triangle. You're looking around you. You're thinking, what are the real life problems I want to generate? You're getting the children to think and see the relevance of what you're teaching them. It's not about the formula. It's not about recalling. It's about linking to real life. It's about evaluating what they have done. How relevant is this? How strong is my response? How much of a learning have I been able to gain? And then what can I do? What's original to me? How can I create this? How can I modify this? How can I innovate? How can I improve on what I have seen or what has been given to me? That's where we need to get students to, in order to be able to get them to critically think. Now, this is a way of asking questions that will help your children think. I've said specify. So you're asking a question in class, you are asking specifically. So children sometimes say, I do not understand. Okay, I don't understand. You as a teacher, you have to ask them, okay, what part of it do you understand? Let them share what they actually understand. You know, when you engage children with questions like that, they get to think. They get to be mindful when they're giving responses like, I don't understand. I could have spent 10 minutes speaking with you and you say you don't understand. There must be aspects that you have understood. In the course of sharing what they've understood, they're beginning to process what you have said. And there's the possibility that at the end of that conversation with the child may have actually understood. But again, it could help you as a teacher identify the specific aspect that you need to support the child in. And that will also help you in further planning as you work with children. So let's move on very quickly. Differentiation. I mean, I can't overemphasize this. Once you have your lesson plans and you're using the Bloom's taxonomy, the first thing you want to do, be mindful about the number of learning objectives you want to have on your lesson plan, because the more learning objectives you have, the more you'll be trying to catch up with meeting all meeting the learning objectives and teaching that. But at the end of the day, you may lose the children. Be very critical as you plan your lesson. Make sure you've been able to accommodate the different levels of children in your classroom. You have good knowledge of your students. You know what they already know. You know where they should be. You know how to get them to where they should be. Use that knowledge to craft your lesson objectives. The lesson objectives should range from low to high level, where they're able to think critically and engage in, something more useful, break the boundaries and give you something original. And, wow you as a teacher, because you have been able to ask the right question, because you've been able to plan adequately for the children, then you've been able to stretch them beyond their targets to meeting aspirational targets. So some students in your class may be completely unfamiliar with the concept in a lesson. Some students may have partial mastery, and some students may already be familiar with the content before the lesson begins. So my question to you as a teacher, if you have these three diverse categories in your class, what are you going to do? Would you not require this to plan adequately? Because at the end of the day, if your lesson plan stops at applying, you've lost the children that have good and great understanding of what you have taught already, because they've been exposed to videos, they've seen content online, so they have good understanding. But you've lost them in class because you limited your learning objectives to apply. But they want to create, and then you have a disruptive lesson because they're not listening, because they already have a good understanding of what you're teaching. What would you do to differentiate the content? That's my question for you. Kindly type in the chat room. This is the classroom you have. You have three diverse learning groups. What will you do to differentiate learning in your classroom? I'm going to the chat room. I would like to see your responses. Yes. I'm hoping I'm going to get responses from everyone, as many as possible. Let's have your responses in. This is the classroom you have in your class. Some students in your class may be completely unfamiliar with the concept. Some students have partial mastery. Some students may already be familiar with the content. Before your lesson begins, what will you do? How would you do the lesson? Did you consider this before planning? How would you differentiate the content by designing activities for each group of students that cover various levels of Bloom's taxonomy? What would you do? I will consider their learning styles. That's one. Yes, let's hear more. There's just one content here. Okay, I have to move on very quickly. I'm not getting enough responses. Yeah, so I want to move to feedback. Please, can you see my slides? Please, can you see my slides?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, should I go back to the previous slide? I got feedback that you couldn't see
There's a
it.
box in front of it, though.
Is it off?
Covering. Yeah, it's off now.
Okay, was the chat box. So you have some students in your class maybe completely unfamiliar with the concept you want to teach. Some have partial memory. Some already are familiar with what you want to teach. How would you plan to ensure that you cater to the needs of all the three groups of children in your classroom? It's very important. It's very, very important that you understand your learners, you know where they are, you know where they should be, you know how to get them to where they should be. Now, feedback. I'd like us to look at feedback. So as you're giving feedback to students, I'd like you to think about the words you use, because your feedback must be constructive. Feedback must be specific. I gave you an example of being specific. Your feedback must show them that they have next steps to take. And that is also linked with your lesson planning. How have you planned for these children? You're giving them feedback, you're asking them specific questions, you're digging deeper to understand where they have struggled. You're asking them questions that will let them know, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that in order to be able to get this and get that. So you must be specific. You must give feedback that will get them to think beyond where they are at the moment. And then let's see how we can connect and integrate. Effective feedback should not only correct mistakes, but also encourage higher order thinking by challenging students to reflect on their learning process and strive deeper for comprehension. It's very important that as we give feedback as teachers, we're looking back inwards, we're using words that will get the children to reflect on what they have done and how they can do it even better in order to come up with an outcome that will meet your expectation or exceed your expectation as a teacher. Now, as I'm talking, I've talked about feedback. I'm also linking that to data. Once you have your feedback in your children's note, feedback that you're giving to them verbally in class, what's the data outcome? You're using this information to inform your next level of planning and what you're doing next in that class. So you're teaching and the children are now understanding your concept. You've been able to meet one objective where you have two more objectives to go. Are you going to go on to teach the other two objectives, or you're going to make sure you wait back to ensure that the children have a good understanding of one of the objectives that you have? That shows that you need to plan better. That shows that you need to understand the children in your class better. That shows that you need to be intentional and deliberate when you plan to execute your lesson so that you're able to move everyone forward. And you know the children that you're giving one-on-one support. You know the children that you're working together, that you're spending time with when all the other children are working. You know the kind of AFL tools you're going to use in your classroom because you have planned. Now, this involves moving students beyond mere recall. That's what Bloom's taxonomy is about. Encouraging analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. I've talked all about that. You can create an environment where students are empowered to do this. How do you do that? The words you use. I said it in the beginning. How might this help? What other options do you have? What do you think about it? Once you use words like that, the children feel more comfortable to be vulnerable, to be able to express how they think, not thinking there's this particular answer I must give, but they're able to think and relate to real life. Think about AI. Think about what ChatGPT is doing. Think about the responses they're getting from ChatGPT. If you are that teacher that still limits your lesson objective to apply, then you're not helping the children, because everything from remember to apply, they can easily get on ChatGPT. They can easily get on any AI platform. So we need to find a way to get the children to think. We need to find a way to encourage originality, because they will be proud of what they have produced, because you have asked them questions that shows and get them to a level where they move beyond the expectation to exceeding expectations. So let's think about what technology is doing. Let's think about what AI is doing, and let's be more intentional as we plan to work with our children. Now, promoting collaboration, this has to do a lot with project work, working as a group in class. I think the end part of this session, Mr. Richard is going to put you through a particular example of project work and how he's going to use Bloom's taxonomy. You can use Bloom's taxonomy to be able to deliver this project work in class, getting the children, moving them from the lowest level of Bloom's taxonomy to the higher order thinking level, to get them to create something. I've been talking about originality. I've been talking about creation. This will help you understand how to do it. So helping children to think, to talk collaboratively, asking them the right questions will get them to think critically, will get them to share their ideas. As they're sharing and talking to their partner, collaborating, they're adding more to what they already know. They're building ideas, they're sharing ideas, they're working together to create. That's where we need to get our students to. So I just have an activity here that would encourage collaboration. Tell your neighbor. Students tell their neighbor as a means of articulating their thoughts. You see, you're thinking of something as an adult. The minute you start sharing your idea with somebody, do you know, you start refining that idea. You start also checking how relevant is it? How possible is it? Do you think it's even relevant? Do you think it's going to work? Oh my God, it's amazing. As the person is talking to you, you're having the conversation, you're refining those thoughts. You see, that's very important, and that's significant when you're teaching children in class. Give them opportunities to talk to their neighbors. Give them opportunities to exchange ideas. And what do? You now have 2 children that have been able, or 3 or more, that have been able to combine information from their group and have been able to come up with something that is bigger than what they started off with. So this is very important and key. Now, this is also another activity in class that you would enjoy doing. You could have a ball, you could have a toy that you want to pass from one child to the other. And then as it's moving on from one child to the other, you're asking the question. This gets your children to be very comfortable in class. They'll be able to speak freely to the person beside them. They'll be able to interact. They'll be able to share ideas. They'll be able to come up with more relevant, stronger responses to the questions you have posed, and because they've been able to communicate, interact, and are freely communicating in your classroom. So you want to embed activities like this in your class to endeavor to get children to work together, to think collaboratively, to come up with ideas that will surpass the targets you actually have for them. So I'm going to quickly summarize my section of this Bloom's taxonomy before Mr. Richard comes up by telling you that Bloom's taxonomy is a framework that categorizes educational objectives into varying levels of complexity, as we saw at the beginning of the session, and the video, and also the illustration that shows the different Bloom's taxonomy than the most recent one in 2001. From simple recall of facts to higher order thinking skills like analysis and creation. This integration allows educators to design lessons that, addresses both content and learning progress, promoting to more holistic educational approach. The framework progresses from basic to complex levels of thinking, enabling teachers to guide children from foundational knowledge to advanced cognitive tasks. And finally, by applying this taxonomy, teachers can more effectively assess enhanced student learning outcomes across multiple dimensions. The minute you're intentional about using your Bloom's taxonomy, the right vocabulary to craft your objectives, that's the beginning of getting children to move beyond just remembering, move beyond just understanding, move beyond just comprehending, to applying, to creating, to evaluating the process. It's very, very important that we are able to do that. So as teachers, I'd like you to leave this session with the mindset that you must be intentional about your lesson planning. You must be deliberate to understand the children in your classroom, the different category of children in your classroom, the different levels of children in your classroom, the vocabulary you can use to get them to move from one level to the next, not just one level to the next, from lower thinking skills to higher order thinking skills. That's where we need to get children to. And we can do that with your intentionality as a teacher. Action points after this session: download a copy of the Bloom's taxonomy hierarchical diagram. You have the ones that have vocabulary. Be intentional about using this vocabulary. Make a list of the students you have in your classroom. Put them in groups based on your knowledge of them. How do you think you're going to plan your next lesson? How would you teach such that the lower group will not miss out on important information? They will not be lost in your classroom. The children in the middle group are able to learn and also able to aspire to grow higher. The children in the high ability group are not feeling like, oh my God, this is quite boring because there's nothing to challenge me in this class. These are things you need to think about. These are ways you need to consider planning for the children. Most importantly, I'd like you to think about AI. What is AI doing? How are you moving children in your classroom above what AI can give to them? How are you taking them to where they can innovate, where they can create? That's where we need to get to. So I'm going to stop at this point and invite Mr. Richard to take over from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. I would like, just before Mr. Richard steps in, yes, I said the claps and the thank you. This was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I see the claps in the claps, the flowers. I see all of that in the chat box. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this, Ma. We appreciate you, and God continue to bless and keep you for us and for everyone. Yeah, thank you so much. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you, Ma. Yeah, so as we continue to give the thanks, I would like to encourage us, to try and follow AfriTeach on all of our social media handles and platforms. I'm sure a lot of people do not really know that AfriTeach has handles on Facebook, on Instagram, a YouTube page which is currently streaming, and also on LinkedIn. So the links would be in the box now, in the chat box now. So please, you can go ahead and click on whichever one you want. I would be checking the Instagram page right now to just see who follows us immediately. And you never know, there could be a prize for the first 10 people to hit that follow button. Yeah, so let's go. Yeah, the links are in the chat box for people asking for the links again. The links are in the chat box. You can go there and just pick it out. Go there and just pick it out. It's there. Oh yeah, I see people following right now. Yeah, thank you so much. If I have to read out the handles, I might take quite some time doing that. So yes, the links are in the chat box. Go ahead. Instagram, let's go. We have just about 5 minutes left. No, 5 minutes, about 2 minutes left for this. Thank you all for following. I see you all. Yeah, 12 people now. 12 people have followed us out of 150. So, we could do more of this. We could do more of this. We can get 100 people to follow us. We have just about 2 minutes left. Let's go. 16 people followed. We have just about, can we get 84 more people to follow us in 2 minutes? 84 more people to follow us in 2 minutes. YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm monitoring Instagram right now. Can we get more people to follow us? Thank you. Thank you all. I have just 1 minute left. 1 minute left. And we need 80 more people to go. 80 more before I bring up Mr. Richard from Ghana. I'm sure we would have that conversation on the best jollof rice again, Nigeria versus Ghana. I still believe the Nigerian is superior. Let's go. 1 minute left. 1 minute left. 1 minute left. Okay. All right then. Thank you all for joining. The links will be dropped in the chat box as we go on. So I'd like to, just read a brief profile about Mr. Richard. So Mr. Richard Kwaku Detsi, I hope I got this pronunciation correctly, is the director and co-founder of the International Community College in Ghana. Mr. Richard is a seasoned educationist with over 20 years of experience in teaching, school leadership, and curriculum innovation. He holds a Master of Science in Educational Leadership from the State University of New York and a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from KNUST. As the founder and director of the International Community College, he has pioneered several STEM and CTE initiatives. His passion for nurturing students is equally matched by his commitment to building strong child-parent relationships and promoting holistic student development. Of course, he is married and blessed with 3 children. Thank you so much, Mr. Richard. And you can come up now. Just pass the hand, the touch to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Richard.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the introduction. Unfortunately, my video is not very my camera is not very good. So today I have to do incognito. So
That's
please bear
very
with
fine.
me.
We are
Yes.
blessed to have your voice on here.
Yes. Yes. Can you play the first video that I sent? I think I sent some videos yesterday.
Okay.
You see, this is the gearbox from an ICE car. ICE is short for internal combustion engine. You have taken the gearbox from the engine and replaced it with an electric motor. This is how electric motors move.
Okay.
Right now, it cannot move because it has no power source.
Okay.
It cannot move because it has no power source. But like the battery pack is very expensive. We weren't able to get it. So let's come over here. As you can see, we have the power onboard charger, the auxiliary battery, the inverter, the electric motor, the brakes, etc. By next year, we are hoping to have all of these in our car. But it's not as easy because this was built from scratch. Everything was built to handle this stuff.
Okay.
But this one is a regular taxi car. So it's much harder to position the rest of the electric car parts into it. Thank you.
Okay. So with more finances, you'll be able to finish it up.
Yes.
That's cool. So this was a normal.
This is a normal
mechanical car.
manual car.
Manual car.
Yes.
All right. So you went through the process of taking out the engine and everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything was done in the school.
That's cool. That's cool. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Me, I want to be an engineer.
I want to be an engineer.
Yep.
All the best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Can you play my slide for me? I think I sent you a slide, right? No, not this one, the other one. There was one I sent a few minutes ago, which was not this one. I think this one I just shared a few minutes. I think it's a PDF slide. I think I have copies on the page. Everyone can see it on their pages. I wish I knew how this Zoom thing works so perfectly. But if you can hear me, I mean, we can. Since I'm incognito, I think the slide is also gone incognito. I've posted a slide on the sheet.
Mr. Richard.
Yes.
I'll get access to it and I'll share it now.
Okay. So I think I shared a copy of it on the page. Everyone should have it on the where you type in the stuff. I think everyone should see it over there. So I'm a fan of project-based learning, and the reason why I'm presenting on project-based learning is because we want to put everything together. We want to put the entire Bloom taxonomy into. We want to wrap it up and make sure that everything in that Bloom taxonomy is being experienced, is being assessed, is being administered. And one of the best ways of ensuring that the entire Bloom taxonomy thing goes perfectly well is a project-based learning. I've always believed that projects stimulate the mind. Projects build more than just knowledge. It builds more than just application. It builds communication. It builds ethics. It builds emotional intelligence. It builds conflict resolution. So we'll just go straight away and start with what we're talking about today, which I call the grasp of the, more or less like what we call PBL in most schools. So let's look at this this problem right here. Project-based learning, I've always said, by the time you come out of this thing, I just want you to have this image in your head. Solving real-world problems through real-world solutions. That's basically what a project-based learning. If you do a project and it doesn't solve any problem, there's no point in that project, because we want that project to solve the problem. If you look at the first video with electrical wires all tangled up, that is a problem. So we want to move our students from just looking at this as a problem and fixing it right. So just to make sure this is fixed right. So that is one of the problems. Now, GRASS is basically a way by which you can, anytime you talk about project, teachers are a bit confused. Teachers are a bit, how do we start it? How do we end it? So I've just provided just a 6 simple way of doing that. The first one is what we call the goal. So when we go to the next slide, what is the goal about? The goal is basically where we want to achieve, what we want to do at the end of this project. What do we want to achieve? Now, it's very important we get the goal very clear in the beginning. The goal is extremely important. Please, can you just move up a little bit? The goal. It's extremely important that the goal is very clear. Now, this is a goal of that lion over there. His goal is to catch that deer and eat it up. That is his goal. It's very clear. And the goal of that deer is to run away from that lion. Basically, that's the goal of. So there are 2 people trying to make a goal. One wants to be eaten and one wants to escape for his life. So the goal is very clear. Both of them have goals. So we want to see who wins that. They say, provide a statement of the task. Establish the goal, the problem, the challenge, or the obstacle in the task. Real world goal. We are not talking of make-believe goals. We are not talking of hypothetical goals. We are talking of real world goals. This is a real world activity that happens all the time. So if the goal of the student is to, for example, the first video that we watched, their goal was to build an electric car from a scratch. So that was their goal. It's a real world goal. It's not like make-believe, try and solve something. No, no, no. And these goals and these problems are everywhere in our society. When you walk out of your room right now, there are thousands of problems. Now, when you come out, when you watch the TV, there are many, many problems and challenges outside of school, inside school. So your job is to make it very clear from the beginning, what are we solving? Now, as soon as you mention a problem and the students come up together with a problem or a challenge based on a theme, what happens is that anytime problem, you start talking about problem, conversations and continue. When there's no problem and there's nothing to solve, then everybody just slides back to its shell. So the problem is very, very important. Now, from the problem, we go to the role. What is the person's role? The person's role, it has to be very clear. It's a real world role. If in the video earlier that we watched, the job of the student was to be an engineer to move a manual vehicle to an electric vehicle. It's very clear. It's an engineer. And everybody in that group knows they're engineer. Now, if you're sanitation workers, the job of a sanitation worker is also very clear. The job of an electrician is very clear. These are real world roles. It's not some make-believe roles. So if you give a project to a student and you present a problem, ensure that their roles are very clear. So if they are maybe water inspectors, they are there. If they are scientists, they are there. If they are doctors, they are there. Everything is very clear. Don't create roles that do not exist. Now, as soon as you put the student in a role, what happens is that then the stimulation to solve that problem becomes much more higher. Now, let's move on to the second one. The second or the third one that we want to look at is the audience, real world audience. The last time I was speaking about people who want to improve salt production. These are scientists or students who want to improve salt production. So the audience are who? The audience in that salt production are the consumers who consume the salt, are the inspectors who come and check on the salt. That is one. Now, let's take a look at Dangote Cement. Dangote Cement produces cement for the market. Now, if we want to produce a cement that will match up what Dangote is doing in the school, because we feel that maybe Dangote cement is a bit expensive and the student want to come out with a new form of cement. Now, the audience will be people from Dangote. The audience will be inspectors or the standard authority and all of that. Now, as soon as students know that their audience is not just parent, it's not just their peers, what happens is that the problem now moves from the classroom to outside the classroom. That is when field trip becomes expedient. That's when field trip becomes more real. That is when field trips become more specific. So if you identify the target and you identify the judges of that particular project, that is a key. Because if you don't identify the audience, then it's just my colleagues and all of that. Now, the audience is also extremely important because they will judge the product or the problem that you're creating, the problem that we are solving. So it's very, very important that we do that. Now, let's look at the fourth one, which has to do with the situation. Let's go up a bit. Situation. We've identified the goal. We've identified the role of us. We've identified the audience. Now, what is the problem? What is the real world problem? What is the situation? What are we about to solve? The reason why they are building the electric car is because of the pollution in the environment. So they want to reduce the pollution in the environment. So that is the situation. That problem, that situation is very clear. We are building an electric car to solve this thing. Now, the building of the electric car or the situation which will solve will now determine the product that they have to create. That's a real world product to solve a real world problem. The product you see is a couple of products produced by students in the preschool. And that is, there were too many papers from the photocopy area and they were throwing it away. And the preschool student wanted to create a product out of that. Now, it's very, very clear we make this thing as specific as much as possible. There is no graphs without a product. It's very, very important. If you don't do a product, it's basically a science fair. We are not doing science fair. We are building a product. So it has to be you cannot do a project without a product. I know some people will do a PowerPoint presentation. Yes, all of that is important, but that is not what we need. What we need is to build a product. If you are sensitizing the area of flooding, of maybe there is flooding, the electrical issues, and there's a whole lot of problems. The most important thing is to solve it by producing the product, because the product on the pathway to the product, that's when the learning begins. Now, the student will know that this product that we want to create, electrical for grade 9 student, grade 8 student, this is a tough project. So what would the student do? That's when the research will come in. That's when the knowledge and all of that will come in. Evaluation, they will fight, they'll resolve the conflict. The teachers will can some of the things, they can't figure it out and all of that. But in all that pathway, the pathway is the learning process. So we always talk about good communication among students, good communication among staff, conflict resolution. That is when the product will come in. In the course of solving this product, in the course of building this product, that's when all that learning process will come in. Now, let's come to the standards. The standard has to be extremely high. The standard must be high. I always say that when you raise the standard beyond the level of the student, it will frustrate them, it will bother them. But when the standard is very high, it motivates them to do more than what you can think. That is when everything they have to work on to build that product will now become very, very knowledge. It will not only be knowledge-based, it will be thinking. There will be a thinking process in it. Because if you build an electric car and you have to take out an engine, they have to learn what the engine is. You have to learn how to take it out. They have to use people around, mechanics to help. They have to get all these things. So because the standard is extremely high, the standard also has to be high because the people who come and judge the product are professionals in their trade. They are not just any human being that's just walking over. If you want to build a cement that will surpass Dangote, it means that the standard you have to set for those students is extremely high. In the course of meeting that standard, that is when the learning will take place. Some of them, they will fail. Some of them, they will succeed. But that's when the learning process. So that is what all this bloom just sort of like merges up. So basically that is, so you're going to build the standards and the rubrics and all of that will be built within that. So basically that's the end of my presentation. Now I've sent some sheet of paper, and I think you have that one, so that I can just show them how we can craft a simple PBL or project. If you can just bring that one, the black and white sheet. I've also shared it on the page. You can print it out. Any teacher can pick it up and print it out, and then you can use that as a guide in building your project. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. This has absolutely been amazing. Thank you so much. I kind of, I enjoy, excuse me, I enjoy, solving real world problems through real world situation. And, the acronym GRAPS just makes it very, 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 very relatable. If I remember correctly, it's goal, role, audience, situation, product, success criteria. Anyone who's done project management or program management will look at it and say, okay, this looks like something from project management, and this is absolutely good. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much, Mr. Richard. We appreciate you for taking your time to come here, and also the collaboration between AfriTeach and between Nigeria and Ghana. Yeah, I'm so glad that you also didn't make mention of the Ghanaian jollof rice, which I still believe Nigerian jollof rice is the best. But thank you so much for this. Just a quick one. I would like to, say that TTN and AfriTeach
Mr.
are. Yes, please. Someone say
Sorry,
something?
Mr. Yes, I was going to say something. Sorry, Mr. Abayum. I was actually waiting so I could just.
Oh, yes, please go ahead, ma.
All right. Okay. A very big thank you to you, dear Mr. Richard, our Ghanaian brother, and our Nigerian sister, Mrs. Fatima Okeowo. Thank you so, so much. Can I see you appreciate them in the chat room, please? Can I see the flowers coming in? Can we drop some images in the chat room? Thank you very much. I'm going there now. Let's say something to them. Let's say something special. I can see thank you so much. Can I have more coming in, please? Can we say thank you very much? I can see the flowers, beautiful. Thank you so much. The waves, we're grateful, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you so, so much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate you too. Thank you so, so much. Yes, a big thank you to both Mrs. Okeowo and Mr. Richard for taking us through this training on Bloom's taxonomy. Whoa, I'm still reading. There's so much. Yeah, beautiful. Lovely, lovely. Both facilitators really explored how Bloom's levels, help us move our learners from simply remembering through all the way to creating, but beyond the structure of Bloom's taxonomy, one thing I'm taking from here is the power of designing learning that transforms, So yes, as teachers, we're not just teaching content, we're shaping thinking, we're shaping the thinking of our learners. We're getting them to imagine possibilities, to create solutions, and then to build that future that they so desire. So once again, thank you very much to our facilitators from Nigeria and Ghana. And I must say that Bloom's taxonomy remains one of the clearest roadmaps to achieving exactly that. Thank you very, very much. It was really inspiring. Yes, it was. And that, I must say, is what AfriTeach really seeks to achieve. All of what we have spoken about, we've experienced today. We want to build an Africa where every teacher is a learner and a leader, every classroom a hub of innovation, and where every child can reach their full potential. And I must say, membership is open to everyone and it's free. So you can join freely. You can join. Just Mr. Abayomi had earlier shared the link. Mr. Abayomi, please, can you share the link again for the benefit of anyone who missed it earlier on? please can you share the link so people can join? It's free. The links to the social media handles will be shared as I speak. Let me check. Mr. Abayami, please can you share the links again so people can join? Yeah, because no one should miss being a part of this community. Thank you very much. He has the Facebook link that I can see, the Instagram one, I can see the YouTube link, I can see the LinkedIn link as well. Thank you. You cannot afford to miss being a part of our community. You know, we share quality information that creates opportunities, you know, for professional growth at different levels. And thank you so much. It's also added the WhatsApp group. Please go in there and join. You know, so you can start from being a member of a professional learning communities, our PLCs. Then you can become an associate member. So there are pathways for you to follow, you know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to pause here for him to play a short video. I can see it's already showing. Can you play this video? Can we, Mr. Abayami, please go ahead and play the video. Thank you very much. And I'll continue after this. Mr. Abayami, please go ahead and play the video. And I'll continue after this. Thank you very much. I can see the pictures already showing. I don't hear any volume. I don't know. Can you hear any volume, anybody? Mr. Abayami, there's no sound, please. So someone has just responded. They can't hear anything. There's no sound. What can we do about that, please? There's no sound. No, Mr. Abayami is playing the video. Can we please? Thank you. He'll play it again. That's how we can hear now.
Across Africa, millions of classrooms echo with the voices of children dreaming of a better tomorrow. And behind those dreams stand teachers who are passionate, resilient, and determined, turning scarcity into creativity and challenges into lessons of hope.
Teachers are the heartbeat of this continent's future, yet too often they work in isolation and they do not have the tools and the resources, the training and the recognition that they deserve.
AfriTeach was born with a desire to empower educators to transform Africa one classroom at a time.
Our vision is clear: to build an Africa where every teacher is a leader, every classroom a hub of innovation, and every learner reaches their full potential.
Our mission is to equip teachers with the skills, resources, and networks needed to lead, innovate, and unlock learners' full potential.
Your journey with us begins at the AfriTeach professional learning communities. This is our vibrant network of teachers where we exchange ideas, teachers connect with one another across Africa.
Then comes the AfriTeach Institute, a hub for high quality, contextually relevant professional development. Here, as an educator, you can explore our different learning pathways, moving from our professional learning community to becoming an associate member, and later upskilling into becoming a certified member, conducting research, attending conferences, and accessing rich material and resources along the way.
Our Pan-African Fellowship Program is our platform for developing visionary education leaders equipped to drive innovation, shape policy, and transform education systems across Africa.
We do not leave out our schools because with AfriTeach International Accreditation, AIA, Africa's first homegrown accreditation framework, we ensure schools meet global standards while remaining rooted in African realities and aspirations.
We are not just upskilling educators. We are building a continent-wide empowered movement of educators, transforming classrooms and communities. So get ready for the launch of our exciting courses under the AfriTeach Institute.
Join the movement today. Visit www.afriteach.org to register and join our professional learning community. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms to register and become part of Africa's education transformation.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Bayomi. So you've heard it all and you've seen it there. Yes, I want to believe that by now many of us have joined one or all of our social media platforms. We have loads and loads of opportunities for teachers. We have trainings coming up. Next month, in December, we have a free webinar on finance. And it'll be you honestly can't afford to miss that either. We're going to share the dates with you. The flyers will be out sometime this week, next week. So please look out, be on the lookout for it, okay? A training on finance for everybody. And come January, we'll be welcoming all our teachers and educators back from the holiday with something called WEB. It's Welcome Everybody. So I can see the webinar is there. The flyer for the webinar is showing already. Improving your finances, savings, budgeting, and investment for educators. Yes, Christmas is around the corner. We know what it is like when we get into the month of January. There's a new year is coming. We can't afford to continue doing things the same way we did in September if we want to get better results. All right, so make sure you make it a date with us and join this training on finance coming up in December. And like I said, in January, we have another training, and this time it's another free webinar. It's for everybody, for all teachers. Again, we're going to share the flyers with you straight after the training we have in December. So we have a whole lot for you. Just like you watched in the video, when you join our professional learning communities as the PLC, and that's by clicking on the WhatsApp link, you get access to all the information that we have to share there. And then also, you can also move on from there to becoming an associate member that comes with loads of benefits. And you can even upscale, like we said in the video, to becoming a certified member. I mean, there's so much. And guess what? We also have a fellowship program in place. There is so much that AfriTeach has put in place for every teacher across the continent. So please make sure you come on board and you join. Thank you so much. Now, at this point, I really want to say a big thank you to those who have made today possible. And I'm referring to the CEO of AfriTeach, Dr. Kende Nwani, and the co-founders of AfriTeach, Mr. Otto Orondam and Professor Shade Ogunshola, and Mr. Otto Orondam. Thank you so much for the vision behind Africa, for the passion you have for transforming education across the continent. May the Lord help you to make and bring your vision to fruition by His grace. And now at this point, I'd like to share, and I'm sure I'd like us to share our feedback on today's session. So the feedback form will be shared as I speak right now. I believe Mr. Mr. Francis, can you share the feedback form, please? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The feedback form, can we put it in the chat room? Beautiful. So the feedback, the link is there. Can we please click on the link for the feedback form? Click on and give our feedback. You know, it's the food of champions. We need to know what your thoughts are, what you're taking from today's session, what we should keep doing, or what we can start doing differently as a community. Thank you very, very much. I know they've also shared our WhatsApp and other social media links as well in the chat room, so people can keep joining. Please make sure you start filling the feedback forms. Please, please, please. Someone says we need to have a December party. Yay, Mr. Richard. We'll look into that. We'll start thinking about it as well, a December party. All right. And to all our brothers across Africa, I know a number of you are here from Ghana, from Rwanda. Thank you very, very much for joining. From Kenya, God bless you all. And from Nigeria, God bless you all. Thank you very, very much. We don't take this lightly. Yes, one says, Can I have can I have shout outs from Uganda, please? Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you so, so much. We really appreciate all that you do. We appreciate your coming. And to all of you, my wonderful audience, you've been truly amazing. And honestly, I'm sure you cannot wait to go back into the classroom and transform the way you do things. Ensure that you take children, first of all, it starts with knowing your learners, of course, knowing your learners so you can provide for them adequately and take them to where they ought to be. God bless you all. Thank you very, very much. And from me to everybody, from AfriTeach to everybody here, it's a big thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. Until we meet in December, by the grace of God. Thank you again to our facilitators, Mrs. Okelwo and Mr. Richard. God bless you all. Thank you, Mr. Bafisoye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Thank you. God bless you all. To enjoy the balance of your day. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ekwayon. I know some people had some questions which they wanted to ask.
Okay.
So what we will do is we'll drop our email here, and so you can send in your questions, or better still, you can send your questions on the WhatsApp platform. Please join the WhatsApp group and drop your questions there. What we are going to do is send the WhatsApp group link again in case you missed it. Doing that just now. So please, if you are on there already, just drop your questions there and we'll respond to it. So drop your questions there and we'll respond to it. Also, I would like to make mention, I know some people from TTN are here, but TTN is a Nigerian thing, whereas AfriTeach, as you've heard from Ms. Ekwayon, it's global, it's the whole of Africa. So like today we've had Mrs. Okelwo, who is from Nigeria, and then we've had our Ghanaian brother, Mr. Richard, training. So over time, you get to hear different people. You listen to educators from Kenya, from Sierra Leone, from Uganda, from South Africa. So it's not either one or the other. It is both. So if you are on TTN, we appreciate you. And if you're on AfriTeach, you are trying to reach the whole of Africa to learn from different people. You add to your knowledge and several things like that. So thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Ekwayon. I'm done.
Thank you
have
very
a
much.
great weekend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bayomi, for adding that. Do enjoy the balance of your weekend, everybody. God bless you all. Bye-bye. From all of us at